Take a slow breath. Not the kind of breath you take when you're rushing. A slow breath, and as you breathe in, relax your forehead. As you breathe out, let your shoulders soften. For the next hour, you don't need to fix your whole life. You don't need to solve every problem. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You only need to listen, because in this session, I'm going to give you a mental tool. A tool that creates progress even when motivation is gone. A tool that keeps you moving even when fear is loud. A tool that helps you stay steady when the world feels uncertain. That tool is called applied faith. Applied faith is not hope. Applied faith is not wishful thinking. Applied faith is not pretending you feel confident when you don't. Applied faith is what happens when belief becomes behavior. Applied faith is a decision you practice until your mind accepts it as reality. Most people never develop applied faith, not because they can't, but because they stop too early. They quit before the mind changes. They quit before the habits change. They quit before the results arrive. And that is why this session matters, because you are not here just to understand. You are here to build something inside yourself, something stable, something calm, something powerful. Let's begin with a simple definition. Applied faith is when you choose a direction and you stop arguing with yourself about it every day. Applied faith is when you stop waking up in confusion and you start waking up with purpose. Applied faith is not emotional. It's practical. It's consistent. It's disciplined. If you want to understand applied faith, you have to understand how most people use faith, because most people have faith, but they put their faith into the wrong things. They have faith that they'll fail again. They have faith that nothing will work. They have faith that the world is unfair. They have faith that they're not good enough. They have faith that other people are luckier. They have faith that it's too late. They have faith that they missed their chance, and the mind is obedient. The mind will serve whatever you repeatedly feed it. So when you repeat those beliefs for years, your nervous system becomes trained, your habits become trained, your daily decisions become trained, and after a while your results start matching your beliefs. Not because life is cruel, but because the mind is loyal. It creates proof for whatever it accepts. So the first step in applied faith is to notice this truth. You are always believing something, even when you think you're being realistic, even when you think you're being careful, even when you think you're protecting yourself. You are still believing something. And whatever you keep believing, you keep building. That's why this is not just a motivational talk. This is a mental upgrade. Because belief is not just an idea. Belief is a command you give to your nervous system, a command you give to your attention, a command you give to your actions, a command you give to your future. Now listen carefully. Applied faith is not ignoring reality. Applied faith is facing reality without surrendering to it. Applied faith is saying, this may be my situation now, but it is not my destination. This may be my struggle now, but it is not my identity. This may be my weakness now, but it is not my final form. Applied faith is not fantasy. It's direction. It's alignment. It's training, because your life does not become better by accident. Your life becomes better when you become better. And you become better by repetition, not by one moment, not by one decision, not by one exciting day, but by daily practice. Now let's talk about why people don't succeed. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence. They don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because their mind is divided. They want success, but they feed distraction. They want money, but they practice delay. They want confidence, but they rehearse fear. They want discipline, but they protect comfort. They want change, but they worship the familiar, and familiarity is powerful. The mind loves what it knows, even if what it knows is painful, even if what it knows is disappointing, even if what it knows is limiting. The mind will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar growth unless you train it differently. Applied faith is that training. Applied faith is the moment you say, I will no longer be controlled by what feels easy today. I will be guided by what creates results tomorrow. Now let's break down how applied faith actually works. It works through a chain reaction. Belief creates behavior. Behavior creates results. Results create stronger belief, and that stronger belief creates stronger behavior. This is how transformation happens. It begins as a small loop, but if you keep the loop alive, it becomes a powerful cycle. Most people never enter that cycle. They keep breaking it. They start, then stop. They commit, then doubt. They work, then disappear. They focus, then... And drifting is the quiet killer of success. Drifting is when you wake up and let your day decide who you become. Drifting is when you let your mood decide your discipline. Drifting is when you keep waiting for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment doesn't arrive. The perfect moment is created, and it is created by action. Applied faith is the ability to act without proof, to work without applause, to build without instant results, to continue when nothing is happening on the outside because you know something is changing on the inside. Now, I want you to understand this. Your feelings are not your enemy, but your feelings are also not your leader. Feelings are information, not instruction. The world trains people to live like this. If I feel good, I work. If I feel... But that is not how successful people live. Successful people live like this. I work because it's time to work. I move because that's who I am now. I start because delay is expensive. Applied faith is identity, based discipline. It is living from the inside out. Now let's talk about the 4 levels of faith. Level 1 is hope. Hope says, I want it, but I'm not moving. Motivation says, I will move, but only when I feel strong, only when I feel excited, only when the energy is high. Level 3 is commitment. Commitment says, I will move, even when I feel tired, even when I feel distracted, even when I feel uncertain. Level 4 is applied faith. Applied faith says, I move as a principle. I move because my goal is not a wish. My goal is a decision. Most people keep repeating levels 1 and 2. They live in hope and motivation. They keep starting and stopping. They keep needing emotional fuel. But emotion is unstable. Emotion rises and falls. Applied faith is stable. It does not depend on feeling. It depends on direction. Now I'm going to give you a daily ritual. A ritual that trains applied faith in your nervous system. This ritual takes less than 5 minutes, but it can change your entire life if you do it every day. Here it is. Before you touch your phone, before you talk to anyone, before you enter the noise of the world, sit still for 30 seconds, breathe slowly, then say, today I choose one direction. Today I choose one direction. Then ask yourself, what is the one thing I must do today that my future self will thank me for? And choose the smallest version of it, not the perfect version. Maybe it's one email sent. Maybe it's one proposal created. Maybe it's 1 hour of deep work. Maybe it's planning your next move. Then do it early. Do it before your mood changes. Do it before life distracts you. Do it before fear talks you out of it. That is applied faith, because you are teaching your mind, I can be trusted. I do what I say. I keep promises to myself, and every time you keep that promise, you build self-trust. Self-trust is more powerful than motivation, because when you trust yourself, you don't need to beg yourself. You don't need to convince yourself. You just do it. Now let's talk about resistance, because resistance will show up. It always shows up The moment you choose a higher standard, your old self will fight back, not because you're weak, not because the goal is wrong, but because habits defend themselves. Old patterns want to survive. Old comfort wants to keep control. Old identity wants to stay familiar. So you will feel a pull back toward procrastination, a pull back toward distraction, a pull back toward easy pleasure, a pull back toward old thinking. This is not failure. This is the door. This is the test. And the people who pass this test are the people who change their lives. Here's what most people do when resistance shows up. They panic. They assume something is wrong. They assume they're not meant for success. They assume they're not consistent. They assume they're broken. But you are not broken. You and every test can be passed. How do you pass? You create a minimum standard. A minimum standard is the smallest promise you keep, even on your worst days, because your worst days are not the days to chase perfection. Your worst days are the days to protect consistency. For example, even on my worst day, I will do 10 minutes. Even on my worst day, I will not break the streak. Even on my worst day, I will do the minimum, because the minimum keeps the cycle alive, and the cycle is everything. Now let's go even deeper. The reason people don't win isn't because they lack knowledge. It's because they don't stay in the game long enough. They don't stay long enough for compounding. They don't stay long enough for the mind to change. They don't stay long enough for skill to develop. They don't stay long enough for momentum to build. Most people want results with beginner consistency, but results come from advanced consistency, and advanced consistency is applied faith. Applied faith is saying, I will continue even when nothing is happening yet. Because I understand the law of growth, nothing grows instantly. Not the body, not the mind, not the business, not the skill, not the results. Everything grows after a season of repetition. The person who quits early never reaches harvest. Now I want you to understand something important. Applied faith is not blind optimism. Applied faith is not refusing to learn. Applied faith is not repeating affirmations while avoiding reality. Applied faith is structured belief. It's belief with discipline. It's belief with a plan. It's belief with action. Here's what structured belief looks like. It says, this is what I want. This is what I will do daily. This is how I will measure it. This is the time frame I will commit to. This is the standard I will not fall below. This is how I will respond when doubt appears. This is how I will respond when I fail. This is how I will respond when I feel tired. And this is how I will respond when people doubt me. That is applied faith, because you have already decided. Now you are simply executing. Most people lose because they make decisions while emotional. Then they try to perform when emotion disappears. Applied faith makes decisions in calmness. Then it performs no matter what mood appears. Now let me give you 3 examples. Example 1, the body. When someone begins training their body, the first few weeks feel hard. The mind complains, results feel slow. So most people quit. But applied faith understands something simple. The body changes after consistency. The change is delayed, not denied. So they keep going. And one day, they wake up stronger. Not because of one workout, but because of repetition. Example 2, skill. When someone begins learning a skill, editing, sales, business, writing, speaking, at first they feel slow. They feel stupid. They feel behind. They compare themselves. So most people stop. But applied faith understands something simple. Skill grows through repetition. Speed comes after practice. So they keep going. And one day they realize they improved. Not in one day, but by example 3. Rebuilding after failure. Someone fails. They feel embarrassment. They feel shame. They tell themselves, I already tried, and they stop permanently. But applied faith says failure is feedback. Failure is not identity. Failure is not final. This time I will restart with structure. This time I will restart with a system. And the person who restarts with structure wins. Now I want to give you a powerful mental shift. The mind is like a courtroom, and every day you present evidence. Evidence that you are strong, evidence that you are weak, evidence that you are consistent, evidence that you are undisciplined, evidence that you are capable, evidence that you are... So the secret is not to argue with your mind all day. The secret is to give your mind proof. Proof through action, proof through repetition, proof through promise keeping. That is applied faith. Now I want you to create one statement, not long, simple, and I want you to repeat it daily. Here is the statement. I choose one direction and I follow it daily. I choose one direction and I follow it daily. Say it again. I choose one direction and I follow it daily. Now choose your direction. It might be money, it might be discipline, it might be business, it might be knowledge, it might be peace, it might be confidence, but choose one. Because applied faith doesn't scatter energy. Applied faith concentrates energy, and concentrated energy creates power. Now let's talk about one more truth. Most people don't fail because they have no talent. They fail because they negotiate with themselves too often. They wake up and ask, do I feel like it? Do I have motivation? Am I in the mood? But discipline is not based on mood. Discipline is based on identity. When you decide who you are, your actions follow. So decide this. I am the person who follows through. I am the person who keeps promises. I am the person who moves when it's hard. I am the person who does the work quietly. I am the person who doesn't quit when results are delayed. That is applied faith. Now, before we close, I want you to understand something gentle. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You don't need to be confident every day. You only need to be consistent. Consistency is the true miracle. Consistency is the real power. Consistency is what separates the people who change their life from the people who stay stuck in the same year forever. Applied faith is consistency. Now let's review what we covered. Applied faith is belief that becomes behavior. Applied faith is choosing one direction and staying loyal to it. Applied faith is acting without proof. Applied faith is working through resistance. Applied faith is building a minimum standard on dark days. Applied faith is not about emotion. It is about execution. It is about repetition. It is about self-trust. Your future is not built by what you understand. Your future is built by what you repeat. So tonight, choose one goal. Write it down. Make it simple. Then tomorrow, do one small action early. One action that proves belief. One action that tells your mind, I am serious now. I am consistent now. I am becoming someone new. That is applied faith. If you want the next one, or session, comment the word faith under this video, because the next session is called Definite Purpose. How to stop drifting forever. And it will change how you wake up every morning. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Keep your direction. Keep your standard. And remember, you don't need to feel ready. You need to move anyway.